This was easily one of the scariest books that I've ever read in my entire life. Why did I do that?
Because I hate myself. Like, I don't know.
This is so toxic.
It's time for Strange-a-thon, and I participated in this readathon last year. It's one of my favorite readathons, to be honest, because I feel like it's just very do whatever you want like type readathon. It's not genre specific, which I really like, and the prompts are so just do you, boo-boo. This is my Strange-a-thon spread. I thought that this moth was just so cute, and I wanted that to be like the main focus of the spread. So this, last year it was June 21st to the 27th, and it was just really, really cute. So I did, for my non-human POV last year, my Two Princes of Summer book. Don't recommend, it was horrible. The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. Also didn't like this book that much for the odd setting prompt, so they switched this one up from last year. Then we had Folklore and Mythology. I listened to Circe on audiobook and read Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh, which I freaking loved. For my LGBTQIA rep, I did The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo, which I absolutely love this book so much. And then the different format, I had used Circe by Madeline Miller because that was an audiobook. Little throwback moment. I will check in with you in my next clip, which is going to be when Strange-a-thon officially begins. Happy Strange-a-thon day 1, my friends. I feel revitalized with my enthusiasm for this readathon because I just want to read all the books. It is my absolute goal to read and finish all of these books this week. Is that crazy? Yes. Can you see my allergy nasal spray in the background of this shot? Yes. We're living for Strange-a-thon this year. My TBR for this readathon, I feel just so well represents my reading taste at this moment in time, like in terms of the chaos that it is. I'm gonna go through the prompts and like what I'm reading for them. The first prompt is a book of a different format. I'm just not in a really big audio book mood. I decided to just use an ebook as my different format book, which is The Maddest Obsession by Danielle Laurie. This is the second book in the Maid series, and it is a mafia romance, but it's following different characters from the first book, which is quite interesting. I didn't realize that at first. The backlist book that I'm reading, and you guys voted on my Instagram that you can use a classic as a backlist book. So this is what I'm doing because I have to read 2 classics this year and I haven't even read one yet. So I'm gonna be reading The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is my shorter book for the readathon. I wanted to do a 700-page book, and then I was like, I just need to be nice to myself and like not do that. So it's going to be The Great Gatsby, and I'm really excited. It's been quite a long time since I've read this book, so I'm really excited to reread and annotate this copy. Then we have an LGBTQIA+ rep book, and for that book, you guys voted for Ace of Spades. I have heard nothing but good things about this book. I've heard that it's suspenseful. It's kind of like a YA mystery type thing, but it has dark academia vibes, I believe, which is all of me in a cup of tea. Ace of Spades, we follow 2 Niveus Private Academy students, Devin Richards and, hopefully I'm saying this correctly, Chiamaka Adebayo. I'll have to look up if that's how you correctly say their name. They are selected to be part of the elite school's senior prefects. It looks like their year is off to an amazing start. After all, not only does it look great on college applications, but it officially puts them in the running for valedictorian as well. Shortly after the announcement is made, though, someone who goes by Aces begins sending anonymous text messages to reveal secrets about the 2 of them that turn their lives upside down and threaten every aspect of their carefully planned futures. So they start to get blackmailed. As Aces shows no signs of stopping, what seems like a sick prank quickly turns into a dangerous game with all the cards stacked against them. Can Devin and Chiamaka stop Aces before things become incredibly deadly? I realized that when I was going through my TBR, I forgot to mention the last prompt, which is book with a strange cover. And for that, I'm going to be continuing on with Death Note. So I have Death Notes volumes 6 and 7. I would like to finish both of them for that last prompt. I just had to come back in here and add that because I got so distracted by talking about Stolen Tongues that I forgot about Death Note. So, okay, then we have my non-human character book, which I decided to pick the scariest book of my entire life. It is Stolen Tongues by Felix Blackwell. This book follows a couple who is at this winter cabin. It's a weekend getaway. It's supposed to be romantic, and they start getting dumped on with snow. It's a cozy, fun time until they start hearing voices outside of their cabin every single night. And the voices are mimicking not only random people, children, women, it's also mimicking their own voices to them in the cabin, as well as dead relatives. And so they're like,
"Excuse me, ma'am, this is not what I signed up for.
Get us the heck out of here." But it starts snowing way too much that even the forest rangers can't come get them. Their car, they can't leave because there's too much snow. They're trapped in this cabin with voices that are trying to lure them into the woods, and they know that if they get lured into the woods, they're gonna die. Y'all, I'm not even kidding. The first page had me scared. There is no like anticipatory build up to being scared in this book. You are scared from the beginning. It is so scary. I decided to start reading this book and I'm 15% of the way through last night at midnight. Why did I do that?
Because I hate myself. Like, I don't know.
And in this book, the girlfriend, she has night terrors and she talks in her sleep, and there's this point where she's like talking to the voices that are outside her window. It was so scary. And then my boyfriend in bed next to me has like a nightmare, and he like wide-eyed like jumps out of bed and is like looking around, and he freaks out and is like running around, and I was like, wake up, you have to wake up. That was the scariest moment of my entire life. He texted me this morning when he went to work and he was like, "I'm really sorry that I scared you last night." And I was like, you have no idea how badly you scared me. You are not allowed to do that anymore. Goal, I think today, is to finish Stolen Tongues, but I have to read that book during daylight hours only. I'm like nervous. I'm about to start reading Stolen Tongues again. It is daylight, as you can see, so I should be safe. I'm trying to pick an ambiance room, and I think I might do this witch core one. Jamal wants to come and read with me because he knows that I get scared with this book. I have my spooky ghost mug. I'm trying to be a little spooky spooks, but not too spooky because I don't want to get too scared. This is the ambiance, which seems kind of nice. Like a calm cabin while I'm reading about the scary cabin in the woods. This is seriously the scariest book that I've ever read, and it's not like gory, it's just so effing creepy. I'm having a lot of trouble, first of all, figuring out a place to put my camera. Second of all, I'm having a lot of trouble describing like why it's creepy, because basically everything is happening at night and there's this really creepy thing, obviously, that's like mimicking voices and whatever, but this thing seems to really thrive when they're like sleeping, and it's really taking advantage. I'm sorry if you can hear construction noises, it's just like never gonna stop. Listen to how creepy this is. So this is no spoilers, but if you don't want to hear something really creepy, I will leave like a timestamp here that you can jump to if you want to just skip this. So to set the scene, they're out of the cabin at this point. They're back in their home, but Faye, his fiance, is still like interacting with this thing in her sleep. He was woken up. It's like midnight. He heard something outside their window that sounded like an old man like grumbling and like rustling around and stuff. So he goes to the window, he opens the curtain, he sees this huge figure that's like 7 feet tall. He's like, oh my gosh, trembling with fear, he turns around and the curtains are open, and this is how he sees his fiance. Because I'd opened the curtain, pale moonlight now poured into the bedroom. I turned back towards the bed, trembling with fear, and nearly shrieked when I saw Faye. She was lying there, on her back, with her neck craned out towards me, head upside down and dangling off the bed. Her eyes, wide and crazed, locked onto me, and her mouth hung open. She issued a gurgling, drawn-out groan and flicked her tongue around, prompting me to back into the window frame and nearly climb up the wall. Her movements looked like an epileptic fit in slow motion. Faye watched me with a malice I'd only seen in movies. Her eyes pierced into mine with this hateful desire and never broke from their assault. They seemed to drag me down into them where I'd be swallowed up forever. Faye had opened her eyes while sleepwalking in the past, but never like this. Nothing human remained in her gaze now. I was staring into the eyes of a wolf, and they looked up at me with terrifying glee. She seemed to recognize me, but not in the way that two people who lived together in the same house recognize each other. It was as though I'd been missing 1,000 years and she had finally found me. How scary is that? I would die of a heart attack. Like, I would literally die of fear. So much scary stuff has already happened that now I'm 30% of the way into this book. How is this gonna get even scarier and hit like a climactic plot point when I feel like I'm already scared out of my freaking pants? Hi lovelies. So day 1 of Strange-a-thon is completed. It's now the next day, and I finished Stolen Tongues last night. This was easily one of the scariest books that I've ever read in my entire life. You know when you're watching a scary movie and something is just so creepy that you want to scream out loud? I wanted to scream out loud while reading this book. You could picture everything that Blackwell was describing in your head. It was so good. His writing style, his descriptions, his imagery, it was like watching a scary movie. So incredible. Suspense was excellent. I did not know what was gonna happen. As I mentioned, it was scary right from the very beginning, and I didn't know how it could even get any scarier through the rest of the book. It got scarier, and it never let up. I was not disappointed by this book. I had heard really good things going into it. I didn't know that it was going to deliver as hard as it did. The other update that I have is for the Maddest obsession. So I know I gave you guys a little bit of a synopsis. I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail. So this is the second book in the Maid series by Danielle Laurie. We follow a different couple or set of characters from the first book, which I didn't realize at first, and I was a little bit disappointed because I loved Elena and Ace. Like, they were, these are mafia romance books. Elena and Ace were Grumpy Sunshine corruption trope, which is one of my favorites. It was so good. And so when I was thinking of, okay, what book do I think I could really fly through that is a different format, like I'm using this as an ebook, even though I have other ebooks in my TBR, but I knew that I could get through this book really fast. So in this book, we are following Gianna, who is Ace's stepmom, but she's younger than he is. Her kind of not so love story. It is messy, very messy. The love interest in this book is absolute stone cold hearted, dark murderer, like will kill anyone in cold blood. He just gives no craps. And Gianna is a mess. She is not the classiest broad. She really doesn't care. She gives off this really tough, facade, but she's actually very sensitive inside. She has been really, really hurt. This whole mafia world, she hates it because she hates men controlling her, restricting her freedom, and obviously they're like strong-willed, authoritative Italian men who are very traditional in their beliefs, meaning like extremely Catholic. Women don't work, women tend the house, it's their job to show up, look pretty, be a good hostess, very submissive type thing. And Gianna likes to challenge that. She does not like organization and structure and someone taking away her freedom. She is one to push those boundaries. I am 30% of the way through at this point. I'm really, really liking it. I know that I'm going to fly through this book. So even though there was slight disappointment in the beginning that we weren't still following Elena and Ace, I'm happy with Gianna and Christian. It is the next day. I don't have any big reading updates. I only read 10% more of The Maddest Obsession last night because it kind of lost me a little bit and I'm really trying to get back into it. No spoilers. So I'm only like 40% of the way through.
I don't know why I decided to hold you guys up. My arm is already tired.
Anyways, it kind of lost me because the two main characters have a really cute moment and then the guy just decides to like ghost her. And I have no understanding of why that is. I'm sure we're gonna find out why. But then she does something that's extremely self-sabotaging and like relationship sabotaging, and I'm like,
this is so toxic.
I knew it was gonna be a messy romance going into it. I really don't love how she like self-sabotaged, and maybe I just wasn't in the reading mood last night because like I am interested in what happens. I don't know why I just like don't have the motivation to read right now. Last night I stayed up for hours just watching Claire Siobhan on YouTube play Sims. That was my last night. I'm gonna set a goal. I want to get at least 75% of the way through The Maddest Obsession. I'm sorry if you guys can hear banging. Like my apartment, they're just doing all this construction on the outside of it and it's so annoying. Also, I want to do an apartment update for you guys soon. I just want things to be a little bit more put together before I do a full like apartment update. I am just like a perfectionist, so I don't love to show you guys the apartment when it's like I have some areas that still really aren't pretty or I don't like love them. Let me know if you guys are interested in that in the comments down below because I've been thinking about it, but I don't know if you guys like to see stuff like that. Okay, that is my check-in for now. Hello my friends. I just finished my workout and I wanted to show you, I ordered these really cute matching pajama sets from Amazon. They're still available. I'll link them in the description below. This is what they look like. They are so cute. So it's kind of this little like, it's like a loose sports bra type thing. It's like a little crop top. And then the matching shorts, and they're so soft. And then it came in this, it came in a 3-pack. So there's this pink, cream, and the brown. It's a workout top. And they're so cute. One thing that no one tells you when you move from states that have seasons to states that are much warmer climate is you can't wear your flannel pajamas. And so I feel like I've just been so sweaty every single night because I'm wearing like long pants, like flannel pajamas. So I'm really happy to have these cute shorts matching sets for pajamas. So not book related, but I just thought I would share. I haven't read too much more of The Maddest Obsession yet. I only read like one more chapter, but I'm going to read it tonight. I have to fold some laundry and I'm gonna be watching more Claire Siobhan Sims. And then after the laundry is done, folded, put away, I'm going to read some more. About how much this book took over my stinking life last night. So I am 89% of the way through The Maddest Obsession, and when I tell you that I was not expecting to love Christian and Gianna as much as I do, I'm obsessed with them. Maybe that's why they call it The Maddest Obsession.
Accuracy.
The way that he is such a cinnamon roll. He's such a cinnamon roll for her, and I love it. I love it so stinking much. Potentially more than I love Elena and Ace. Potentially. The way that Danielle Laurie does smut, like, she is so good. The way that this book, like, built up their tension, their absolute hate for each other, and then even when they started banging, they still hated each other, and she's like, am I catching feelings? I'm conflicted. And then all of a sudden it was like, he says the line, if I only knew that I needed to fuck you to see how sweet you were, I would have done this a long time ago. I was unfreaking well last night. I'm still unwell, as you can tell. I have 32 minutes left on this book. I didn't want to finish it last night because I just like wasn't ready for it to be over, but it's day 4 of Strange-a-thon and I need to finish this book and like move along to my next one. I'm obsessed. I just finished The Maddest Obsession. 5 stars. I cannot fucking deal with how much I loved that book. The ending, I was smiling like an idiot at my Kindle. I cannot get over it. I was literally highlighting entire scenes. Like, there were a couple really like cute quotable sentences, but for the most part, it was just like the way an entire scene was written and like their conversation.
My heart!
I cannot deal with this book. I was convinced that with this book, it wasn't gonna be a 5 star. I was like definitely a 4 star, like maybe 4.5, but I don't think I'm gonna give it a 5. The way that this book ended, I was like, I have to give it 5 stars. I'm smiling like a freaking idiot at my Kindle. It's a 5 star. The only other update I have is I barely started reading The Great Gatsby. I've literally read 2 pages, but it counts. But I wanted to, so with The Great Gatsby, I've read this before. It's one of my favorite classics. And that's why I wanted to reread it this year because I really haven't read this book since high school. Pretty much. I really want to annotate it, so I might add to it. It's not really all-inclusive, I don't think at this point, but I put in how I wanted to annotate it, and I know that even though this book is under 200 pages, like 180 pages, I'm going to be reading it just slightly slower than if I were just like flying through it because I'm going to annotate. I think this is a really good book to follow The Maddest Obsession because this is one of my favorite romances, like tragedy romances, and it's so different. We're just live, laugh, loving our best life out here, okay? Hello my darlings, it is time for me to wrap up the Strange-a-thon reading vlog. I just want to preface, you will most likely hear construction noises in the background. It's every day. So, final updates on the last 2 books of my TBR. So I'm still about 60% of the way through The Great Gatsby. I did not check in at all over the weekend. Friday I was super ill. Saturday we did some reading sprints, and I literally think that on the reading sprints you can see where I hit my reading wall. It was a burrito that was amazing, and it just killed all of my desire to read.
Yeah.
We'll definitely finish this book and the other book that I have to talk to you about. It just didn't happen in Strange-a-thon. And so I'm really loving The Great Gatsby. I am tabbing and annotating. I love F. Scott Fitzgerald's writing style. It's so romantic and yet like melancholy and satirical. It's such a vibe. He is so incredible at creating a mood with his words. Like, this book is so atmospheric. It's so moody. I love it. Next book that I really haven't talked to you guys at all about is Ace of Spades. I am currently on page 170, so I am about 35% of the way through this book. I started reading it on the sprints, and then I read a little bit more of it yesterday, which was Sunday, and the last day of Strange-a-thon. Today is the Monday after Strange-a-thon. I'm really liking it. I've heard amazing things about this book. I'm obviously more towards the beginning, so the critique that I have about this book is that the plot just feels very stale. There's not much to differentiate it from Gossip Girl. The entire school gets these text blasts that are spreading malicious rumors about our 2 main characters. There are a couple other people that are like getting tied in, but it's mainly about our 2 main characters, Chiamaka and Devin. So much so that they lose their prefect spots, and it's really tarnishing their reputation, and they're both scared that they're not going to get into college because they're gonna have marks on their permanent records and things like that. That just feels very stale. However, I am very much enjoying the content or the subject matter. Devin has it so much harder than like anyone else in this school, and it feels a bit unbalanced. These 2 students are the only black students that are at this wealthy school. Chiamaka, her family comes more from means. Devin is a scholarship student, and he is kind of selling drugs to help his mother when money gets really tight. He was outed. And that content in this book is very raw, and it's very emotional, which I wasn't expecting, but I really, really appreciate getting that perspective. So he was outed, and he has to deal with the repercussions of that. Obviously, not everyone is treating him, obviously not everyone is accepting him. Page 139 on this book, which is Devin's perspective, it's kind of after like a bunch of stuff goes down, was so heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. And also, he has really good discussions with his friend Terrell about racism. Again, I wasn't expecting this book to go so deep into those topics, but I really, really appreciate that it is going into those topics. So those are the things that are helping me get through this book at this point, because the plot, I'm just kind of like, this feels very unoriginal. But I appreciate that the author took the time to discuss those topics, and especially in the way that they did. And then obviously you guys know I gave 5 stars to The Maddest Obsession by Danielle Laurie. Absolutely love that book so stinking much. I didn't want to give it 5 stars, and I had to give it 5 stars anyways. Stolen Tongues was absolutely incredible. I gave it 4.5 stars. It scared the pants off of me. And then the other book that actually I don't think I mentioned to you at all, I finished Death Note Volume 6, is Sejumi Oba. I hope that I said that correctly. I enjoyed it, but it's really starting to move away from the fun relationships at this point, the fun character interactions, and it's moving a lot more into like police detective, like a police drama type manga series, and I don't know if I love that. So I'm not saying that I'm going to stop reading the series. I just need to like step away from it for a little while and then hopefully return to it and be like fully invested again. Those are the 5 books that I read for Strange-a-thon. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. You might watch my videos, but when you hit subscribe, we officially become besties, and I want to be besties with you. So I will catch you in the comments, and I will see you in my next one, friends. Bye!